Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Good, better, and best. We're talking today about effective communication in your relationship with Diane Arnold from the Family Collective. Welcome back today. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again. How are you doing?
You too. You're home, right? You're down in South Carolina, correct?
I'm back in South Carolina, and I had actually spent some time working on a book that's going to get published. So that's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we're going to head back home for a little bit, back to Minnesota for a little bit. So in a couple more weeks.
Good for you. So how's the book writing coming along?
Good. We thought we had an amazing title. I should probably do some kind of a contest out there because the publisher's like, bad.
Oh my, you never know though who to trust.
Try
You never know.
No.
You never know, but all right.
But we have good content. We have good content. Let's work on the title.
Awesome. So, well, I know we're going to have some great conversation today with communication and all. Just give us an overall collective. I just said it. Tell us a little bit. Yeah.
The Family Collective is a nonprofit where you can go to get information and help for your relationships. You know, we started out primarily with marriage work, and we've kind of expanded from there. We have online groups, which we're starting up another set of groups in August. And I'm excited about those because our groups come from all over the country. In fact, we had some people in from Canada the last time. It was amazing. And they get community. You know, there's just some hard questions. You're like, who do I ask this stuff? And you just kind of assume like you're on your own in your marriage and or your relationship. And there's, you know, you could Google it, I guess, but it's so wonderful to have other couples to go, oh, no, yeah, we struggle with that too. Or, hey, here's some ways that we've worked on that. And I think it's been very helpful. So we have another set of those starting up. We have ongoing online marriage help. I don't know if I've ever told you that, Jill, but you can take a course, an 8-week course.
Wow.
That is actually presented by my husband and I.
Oh.
Yep. And it's, you know, as far as like information about marriage, there are a lot of great people that, you know, do, you know, couples help. But just, you know, for people that are listening right now, you know, I'm a marriage counselor and I am trained in a lot of different types of, you know, marriage therapy models, and we use them with this material. The material also is faith-based. So if there are people out there that are interested in that, we work a lot with business leaders and their marriages. You know, there's most often what I hear in my practice is, you know, you can be only good at so many things.
Yes and no. Some master of many tasks.
Right.
Jack of all trades, master of none. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. And so business people are really good at business, you know, and then sometimes their relationships suffer because of that. So we're there to come along and help. It's a nonprofit. So most of the resources, the pricing on it is just basically the cost of what it takes to produce it and to get it to you. Along with many, many different articles that you could go to, or some of these podcasts will be out there. And, you know, we have some YouTube material. So there's a lot of help if you have some questions that is out there for your marriages. And actually, there's for individuals and for engaged couples too. We can talk about that later, but working on relationship is what I want to talk about today.
Perfect. Let's do it. Thank you so much. Let's chat. Yeah. By the way, to remind everyone of the website, it's
thefamilycollective.co.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And
just when you have your millennial name it .co.
I know. So was .com taken, or was that?
Oh, no, honestly,
someone helped you create it, and it was like, okay.
I think they just thought it was creative, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, but that's killing us. People don't know how to find us. So, but it's awesome. It does give us something to talk about, Jill.
It sure does.
Yeah. So talk with me about relationships.
One of the things we always talk about. It's so important.
I know.
So difficult for some.
But we're going to talk about, I would love to talk about actually intimacy in relationships today. So they're going to perk everybody up out there.
Yep. Let's do it.
Yep. Yeah. So what is that mean to you? Like I wish we were on a call thing where people could call in.
I know. Intimacy to me is like being with your partner, like physically. To me, intimacy means like sex or touching. Is that people might have different definitions. Intimacy maybe could mean not touching, but I see it as intimacy being intimate, meaning we're kissing or touching or we're having sex. That's what I think intimacy is. What about you?
Yeah. Well, for me, for a lot of women, that is actually talking.
What do you mean?
They consider intimacy sharing issues.
Oh, okay. See?
So I'll give you the top categories for men and women. So I'm with you. If I heard that word, I'd think, oh, okay. So, we're sitting on the couch, and the very least we're holding hands and, cuddling, right?
Canoodling, we'll call it, Diane. Yeah.
Yeah. At the very least, with the prospect that it maybe end up with more than that, it's in our mind, but as a rule, women often don't go there. They consider intimacy and emotional connection. Number one thing. Sharing like their day, listening to their spouse's day, being able to emote with each other, like, cry or have an experience like that together. They consider that, intimate. Having their partner being emotionally aware. So they get you when you're feeling down or up, and I think their last thing on their list was to share hopes and dreams. Now you'll love the difference for men.
I feel like I feel like men just think it's intimacy is just sex.
As men, it's like 100 different ways of sex. Exactly. It's for them, it's a physical connection, foreplay, holding hands, hugging, kissing, physical time alone together. I don't know what it means not to be alone together, but sexual intimacy, and then doing things together. Men like to fix the car together, build something together, go play sports together, but do something together. So the differences are pretty obvious. As a rule, women end up saying that intimacy is more emotional, and men end up saying intimacy is more physical. And it's often where we get stuck when we're talking about this topic, as we have two totally different goals in mind.
But I feel like men want intimacy all the time, and we do, but it's so that we want to talk more, we want to share more, but they want more of the physical aspect, and that has caused a lot of relationship issues for me personally. And because someone says, well, I want what I want, and I'm like, I don't agree. Like, I don't want to have sex all the time. They do, like, in my whole thing. That's why I'm single, I guess. But there's got to be like boundaries and like a mediation, meeting of the minds of, it's have what the woman wants, the emotional, the talking, and then let's do the physical. But there should be a compromise.
Well, weirdly, this was not going to be in our talk. I tell you, Jill, you and I, if I ever laid out my notes, it would be like, that is not where I was headed. but and this is not where I was headed. But I think it's important for you and the people listening to understand The difference in what you just said is in that bonding hormone, that oxytocin.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we've talked about this where women bond talking. Literally, that is released in them, and they get connected, and they get these feelings of intimacy, right? They can get it with a friend, but they love to get it with their partner.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so to them, that builds and builds and builds and builds. And that makes me feel connected and tight with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we, of course, want more of that. So, in our bodies, how we're built, that happens when we're sharing and connecting like that. All right. So you have to take this one up with God. I always tell people, but men are not built that way.
Mm-hmm.
The one time that they feel bonded like that is when they ejaculate.
Mm-hmm.
That is released at the same level chemically as you and I talking.
Wow.
Right? So both people are trying to bond. I need people to understand that. Both of them are actually looking for the same end goal. And they're looking for the way their bodies are built. And if you even look at the difference in what I said, and, pardon me, women, if I'm, outing us all out there, but women will talk, all the way up, to sex, sometimes through sex, because they're bonding.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you look at what happens with men, they typically will be more open and cuddly and verbal after sex.
Yes.
Because they have bonded. Chemically, they have hit, chemically, they've hit the same level as, unfortunately, as you and I talking.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's important to answer your question, by looking at that, by understanding that the same need is being driven for in the only way that they know chemically it's happening in their bodies. It's not that I'm just after sex. I'm after being connected to you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the way chemically it happens for men, but they need to understand that that's different than than chemically happens for women. That for women, just sex without, our bonding time, it's not gonna cause the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm like, take this one up with God. I don't know what to tell you, but I think it's important to just sit down and have that understanding. We're trying to get closer to each other, right? So let's put that goal in mind, that we may need to do some of the cuddling beforehand, which puts me in the mood to do some of the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to, like I said, settle that issue.
Got it. Thank you. Continue now. Back to the notes.
Yeah. Well, I just think that, if you're out there and you're listening, I think you're going to go, oh, uh-huh.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah. That's why, that's why it always feels like he's pushing for this and she's pushing for that. We are looking for the same thing. Right. But I think we want to discuss a couple of ways to build or strengthen this intimacy. And I know we need to do it quickly. First, and this is something I know people are just going to hate when I say it out loud, but you have to work on yourself. You have to love yourself before you can love somebody else. So many things bother us about others, and it's mainly people. Just, we have so many idiosyncrasies. And a lot of times we're stuck on the fact, and you and I have talked about this before many times, I don't have anything to give away because I'm still in a somewhat wounded place myself.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I tell people, listen, our tendency is to blame others or a situation, but it'd be really smart to go, okay, I'm at least working on getting healthy in this area myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, absolutely does.
Yeah, I think there's a quote that says freedom from the whole blame fixing cycle comes from moving our attention away from others and turning that onto ourselves. So, what does that look like? I mean, if you're human, you've tried, I know many of us have pushed, pulled, begged, prayed about the behaviors and the people that we've been in relationship with. And, we've wanted them to change. And an example that I give is when I get tense, I organize. I know there are women out there going, oh, I get it. I totally get it. I start cleaning. Some people go away. I start cleaning counters. It's like
I was on my hands and knees on Sunday doing the floors. I find it's the best way to do it with the white rags, with the bleach or the vinegar. And I'm on my hands and my knees. I don't even use them all, but I just feel like I get a better, and hence I have like the carpal tunnel stuff, but I can't help it. And I always want to be alone and clean. And that's what I find. And nobody understands that. They're like, well, don't you want to do something? Like, no, I want to be alone. I want to clean. I just feel this urge to like organize. I don't know. Like I'm not pregnant, I'm not nesting, but this is what I do all the time. I just don't have much time because I have the kids, and I'm like, I just want to clean. I want to be alone and clean. Wow. Okay. So it's kind of normal for women to feel that.
I think it's a weird thing. I don't know. We'll have to ask the people.
Or like OCD women or
OCD women, perfectionist women. But I think the biggest part of that is like wanting control of something when everything feels out of control.
Like, you nailed it on the head.
It's like I can make happen, everything else I can't make happen. Right.
Yeah.
And I happen to be in a relationship with a messy man. I mean, I don't know what else to say. If he has 7 pairs of reading glasses or 17 pairs, they're everywhere. Whatever he was last reading is open to that. In every room, that I walk in, and if, I'm in that mood, I'm constantly, needing to pick up, and then I get escalated and then I want to yell. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been important for me to understand in our marriage, what the point that I just made, I have to work on me in that one. Like I cannot let that be the deal breaker in our marriage, that he's a mess when I'm in the state of mind that I'm trying to clean up messes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow.
So I've had to kind of work on, all right, his books open to whatever the latest thing was, his glasses everywhere, his, socks everywhere, whatever it is, that's not going to be the deal breaker. Right. That's something that I had to get right in me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I mean, that's an example of what I was saying, is like, there are some things that you got to decide that's not a deal breaker. And
wow.
I got to take care of me.
Wow.
Right. I got to deal with the fact that this isn't going to kill me. Right. And I think the second thing, and probably all we'll get to today, is love. And you've heard this saying, love does mean saying you're sorry.
Mm-hmm.
If the booby prize in your marriage or your relationship is to be the first person that's right or the last one standing that's right, this can be a hard relationship.
Disastrous. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not going to win. Right. And there are just times when it's easier, even if you're not feeling it in the moment,
mm-hmm.
to be the one to make peace. Right. And I'm saying that, and there's people out there going, you don't understand. No, I probably don't understand. There are times when there is somebody running you over, mm-hmm. But I need you to understand this point. How attracted are you to someone fighting and mad at them.
Not much attraction. No.
Right. But what happens when there is forgiveness? Why do you think they call it makeup sex? What happens, to you physically when you are at that place of peace with someone? Your body is literally drawn to the other person when there's nothing between you emotionally. So I'm just going to say back to what I said, there's lots of notes on this. In fact, there's a proverb that I love. It says, he kisses the lips who gives us a right answer. And basically that's just saying, yeah, isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
And, so I think, and if when we talk again, I know we're talking again next week, there's a difference between coming up with a compromise and resolving a conflict, and that when we're doing forgiveness, we need to talk about coming up with a compromise. So, I think that's all I want to say on that it's important to understand that it would be easier to make peace, to be the one to say you're sorry, and to potentially be the one to say, I choose to forgive this person for what they've done, even though I don't understand it. Have you ever heard the adage, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping someone else dies?
Never heard that.
But think about that.
Yeah.
It's affecting you. You're holding something against someone else, but the reality is it's affecting you.
Wow.
Right? It's eating away at you. And so I think it's important, to just think of those things when you're trying to create intimacy.
Yeah.
So, lots of information on this in the online, both marriage material and premarital material at thefamilycollective.co. There are some individual sessions that you can look at, but you can buy the 8-10 week session on both of these for, I think it's truly nominal price. So that would be a good way for you to look into this and to hear a little more about what it means to walk in this with your partner.
Yeah. Thank you. We still got 2 minutes left to talk more about our partnership and communication.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would, actually just, like I said, tell people that, to not be afraid of walking in the forgiveness piece, just for what I said. There's a lot to be said for, there's a lot in the culture right now, what I would consider, I'm offended at everybody and everything, and I'm gonna, hold my distance. And there's a lot to be said for making peace in your life and living in peace, and especially living in peace in your relationship. And that is sometimes, like we said, is just letting something go. Choosing not to hold it. The second it becomes an offense, just, put it on a shelf and go, I'm choosing not to go there and create bitterness, because what happens is offense turns to bitterness, and bitterness turns to all out forgiveness, and all out forgiveness, turns to, having the conflict war that we have in a relationship. And I know couples, couples that, and I've been this couple, that have not talked to your spouse for days, for weeks. And like I said, sometimes that just eats away at you. So it's an important thing to say, if the booby prize is that I win this fight, is it worth it?
Got it. All right. Thank you so much, Diane. How can we reach you?
thefamilycollective.co. And I'm open to talking more about this the next time that we're together.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you back. Good to see you, and we'll talk soon. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.